Hello, welcome back to Core Finance. I'm Matt Brown, joined by Eddie Tofpik, Head of FX at ADMISI. And, well, you can't escape it. Bitcoin. We're going to talk about it again.
Why should you embrace the Bitcoin? Embrace the blockchain. Take it on board. Love it for what it is, which is a brilliant charting pattern. But it's scary.
I must confess, this was probably the only thing I was watching last night. It had drama written all over it.
Yeah.
The moves overnight were fantastic. Above 10,000, isn't it?
Above 11,000 in the same day.
Yes, exactly.
Almost going up to 12. Well, sort of having a go at crack at 12 anyway. But you and I both hold hands in it. We've seen moves of 29% in one day. This is nothing. This is a nothing. This is nothing. So it moves 1,000 in a day, 10%. So what? You know, this sort of thing moves more than that every. You know, when the Russian situation happened with the Ponzi scheme, of it, the thing dropped something like a third, held in, and then moved back higher again. It's a nothing. What it's showing at the moment is an indecisive doji cross. Open at one level, tries higher, tries lower, and then closes at the same level. And being at the top of the market is showing indecision whether it really wants to go much higher at the moment. It doesn't necessarily say it is going to be going down, but it's just showing a little bit of indecision. That was yesterday. Today, it started to move higher. Most of the range is above that. It's above the recent 50% fib, projected fib, which is at 97.68. That's a nice area to be. If it stays above that, then there's opportunity for a gradual assessment higher and another test at 11,389 area, 11,389. 11, how do you pronounce it? 11,389. Let's try it there.
Yeah.
There's too many numbers on this thing. It's turning into telephones. So this whole thing at the particular point is, yes, it's still bullish. I mean, to turn it neutral, you'd have to go below 43.90. To turn it bearish, you'd have to go below 27.96. I mean, we're miles. That's one day's move, 27.96. No, it's at this particular point, yes, there's opportunity for a bubble. I can fully understand that. But there are other coins. There are other opportunities. This particular one has seen a lot of interest because, and this is taking off the hat of what I normally have and talking about other things. In Thanksgiving, a lot of people sat around the table and started talking about this in the US. This demand, I don't think, is necessarily coming from the normal sources of China, South Korea and Japan. This is coming from somewhere else. And this is people going around, Bitcoin, yeah, we've been talking about it under Thanksgiving.
Yeah, with Uncle Johnny turning up in his flash new car.
Granddad's heard about it.
Yeah, turning up in his flash new car. How did you pay for that?
Yes.
With Bitcoin. Or trading Bitcoin.
Exactly. And there's also stories. There's a famous story, I think it was about Lily Allen, the singer, being offered to be paid in Bitcoin, 200,000 Bitcoin, about 3 years ago, and turning it down and regressing it now, which is unfortunate, but it's just one of those instances. In this particular instance, also, you've got to take into account the time of the season that we are in. We're coming into Christmas. What's the person who has everything? What would they want, mate? A little keyring fob with a 1 Bitcoin on it, maybe, just they can have on there. They can travel around or whatever. Always have a little bit of money. There's also a number of those doomsday preppers, as I think they're called, you know, anticipating the end of the world. They'd usually go and buy gold or silver and store it in their nuclear hardened bunker under wherever the hell they are. Some of them, and this is, you know, obviously there would be no internet necessarily, some of them are actually buying Bitcoin and saying, this is something we're going to now take on board as well. So there's a number of different areas getting involved. It's coming to the popular culture. I know it's the last phase of usually any expansion is it comes into popular culture. But at this particular point, technically, it is still, it's neutral from the action of yesterday. It's indecision. That's the nearest version of neutrality you're going to get with this market. And then what happens? What happens next? Potentially, I'd suggest a gradual try higher to see if it's really there. I think that this phase was a euphoric phase the last 2 weeks or so. It's a euphoric phase, and it's over-exceeded its movement. It's way above every moving average. It's, you know, extended. Resistance, 13,134, 14,320, and 14,885 on the upside. Support, you've got to be looking 1183. Oh, that's a nearby resistance, 11,183, and then you've got this 50% at 9768, and then sub that 83.54. Those are areas to bear in mind and keep it on board. But at the moment, nothing's stopped it going higher other than it's 1 day of indecision.
It's just 1 day, and 10,000, I mean, it obviously gets a lot of headlines.
Yes.
Is that a psychological level? Where does that sit on the
Of course,
table?
yeah. It's in fact, I'd say probably, usually, from my point of view, from my experiences, it's usually just above or just below it. So
that's where stops and limits.
yeah, that you'd have those in above. You'd have a limit order at, say, I don't know, 99.80 and stops at 10,050. But at the moment, I'd say top side 10,102, downside 97.68. That's where the significant areas of 97.68 is actually quite key at the moment. Yes, 10,000 is interesting. 11,000 was interesting when it went through a few hours later, and then it went through a few hours later through that, and then down below 9,500. So it makes news. It's very populist, but it doesn't take away from the fact that it's actually been a sufficient demand. The one negative factor, which I think you should bear in mind, is the advent of futures exchanges. At the moment, you can't sell this very easily. You can only sell and borrow in the cash market. And not many non-professional people can be able to do that. You can maybe do it through CFDs, but the rates that are being charged, I've heard interest charge of over 175% annualized to keep a CFD position in place. But when you have a regulated exchange where they'll charge margin, which they'll be able to leverage as well, then the opportunity is there to do something like that. And you've got two major ones, the CME and the CFE coming up. NASDAQ's announced it's going to do one as well. So you're going to have an opportunity to, as I say, not only get involved on the short side, if you are, then that would be the way to look at, maybe that would be probably the biggest negative bearish influence when it happens, is when the advent of the futures markets.
Eddie, very insightful as ever, and we'll look forward to talking more Bitcoin next week, and we'll see where the price is. But in the meantime, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much.